With me now is Democratic Congressman Adriano Espaillat of New York. His district represents part of the city, and he's also the first formerly undocumented immigrant to serve in the United States Congress. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Look, it seems part of what's happening here is that New York City is required to provide shelter to anyone who needs it, which is why it's picking up the tab for all of these migrants who are finding themselves there. Do you agree, though, with what Mayor Adams said there, that this crisis will ultimately destroy the city?
Look, Mayor Adams is doing what he has to do. He's fighting to get the funding and the help that the city of New York needs to get through this crisis. I don't think it will destroy the city. In fact, I look at it from another perspective, that every crisis also brings about great opportunities. And these folks want to work, and our economy needs them. The private sector needs them. Agriculture needs them around the country. Construction needs them. And so they're here, and they're willing to work, and that's what they want to do. They don't want to be a load on government. They want to be productive to the economy, and I think that we should embrace that.
Your colleague, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, says in response to all of this that there are solutions to this problem, but she said that Adams's rhetoric is, quote, alienating people. Some people have accused him of demonizing immigrants and not just addressing the funding issue that he wants to get help with.
Look, I'm a friend of the mayor. He's a fighter, and he's fighting for the city of New York, and I could identify with that. I consider myself to be a fighter for the city of New York, and we have to join forces to ensure that we get the resources that we need to get the work permits. I think, Abby, that this is something that could be resolved if we allow, for example, Venezuelans to get an extended TPS, temporary protective status, that they already have, but it was cut off some years back. If we get it extended, they have the right to work relatively soon. In addition to that, I think that folks that come in and apply for asylum should apply simultaneously for the work permit. If we can reduce the time they're waiting to get a work permit, we get them out on the workforce and they become productive New Yorkers. I think that should be our effort.
Why doesn't Mayor Adams just say that rather than escalating the rhetoric in this way?
Well, look, I think he's fighting for the citizens of New York. And there is a budget impact in all of this, obviously, and we're trying to get these folks to work. Today, 20,000 or so young children went to school, and the federal money follows the kids wherever they go. So the federal government is doing some things. We're going back to Washington next week. We're doing a supplemental soon. In that supplemental, we should have additional help for the city of New York, the state of New York, and the country that's carrying the load of the migrants that are coming to our nation.
You make an important point about there are other parts of the country, not just New York, carrying this load. Democrats, your party, has consistently supported this idea that migrants should be able to seek refuge here. Is it fair then to say that some people in your party don't fully appreciate how challenging and implementing that can be if New York City is buckling under the weight of this? Well, what about other places along the border that have been dealing with this for years?
Well, migration is not a new dynamic. In fact, it is a global dynamic. You know, everywhere from Ellis Island to migration that we see from people that get on boats actually and cross over to Florida or other parts of the country have been with us for decades. This is not new. In many ways, it is a sign of our neglect of the rest of the hemisphere for decades, and now is showing up in our doorstep. So the values of our nation are vested on certain principles, and one of them is that people that are seeking asylum because of violence, because of natural disasters, or other kinds of crises should be able to come up and make their case. Now, we have difficulties here in New York City because we're not getting the funding, but primarily because the migrants don't have the right to work. I think that should be the goal of everyone, including the mayor, to get these migrants out and working as quickly as possible. And I think everybody, whether Democrats or Republicans, support that if they come in and they're productive residents of New York City, they will be welcome. So let's do that.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Congressman Adriano Espaillat, thank you very much.
Thank you.